Hey Devin, hope your ski trip is going awesome. This video is less about feedback and more an attempt by me to make you feel better about the so-called butt wink. The first thing, and I think I expressed this before, but I think this also plays into you wanting to make sure the things that you're doing are perfect and that they're safe, which is totally legit. I think it's valiant to want to work on having less and less of a butt wink. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that the butt wink is natural. Everybody has a butt wink. It just depends upon where, meaning at what point in the squat does it happen. But then there's a whole bunch of other things that play into that as well. For example, what kind of squat you're doing. So where the barbell is loaded or where the implement is loaded is going to make a tremendous difference. And it also has to do with, of course, variety in your squat mechanics. So, wide stance, narrow stance, normal stance, what have you. These things will play into butt wink. And then the other thing, of course, is just general, limb length sizes and or mobility and limitations, right? Those can all play into when a butt wink will occur and to what degree. And I want you to know that you don't have a butt wink that makes me go, oh my gosh, she should not be squatting. That's definitely not where it's at. It's one thing to be aware of, right? That's just something that we'll be aware of. I have a butt wink. My girlfriend has a butt wink. Everybody's got one. And typically, it's okay and it's safe to squat even though you have a butt wink. So if you're doing squats, and your butt wink looks like this, right? Like it's almost like your butt is doing an exercise every time it goes down to the ground. Okay, if it's like that substantial, we'll take steps, and I don't have proof that that's how bad your butt wink is. I don't think it is, but we'll take steps to make that better or less substantial. The other thing is, what I want you to notice, just to give yourself a little bit of comfort, is that things that create a more upright posture in a squat will result in less and less butt wink. So what you'll find is you might have a bigger butt wink at the bottom of a back squat than you do, doing a goblet squat. And that's simply because of where your center of mass is located and what your back angle is relative to the floor. The higher up I am, the more perpendicular to the floor, the less of a wink I'm gonna have. But because the barbell in the back position, you naturally are gonna lean a little bit forward, this is gonna mean a little bit more of a butt wink. And again, the butt wink is just a super natural compensation that the body does. And I told you before, when hip flexion ends, low back flexion begins. So we know that hip flexion is the closing of basically the hip joint. Knee flexion, knee extension. We know that low back flexion is the rounding of, the L spine. And so if I have limited hip flexion or ability to do this, then what's going to happen is, because a squat requires so much hip flexion, let's say I run out of hip flexion right here, okay? But I'm trying to get to deep squats. So hip flexion stopped for me because that's the limits of my mobility. But my brain says, well, in order to get down to the bottom, buddy, you're going to have to compensate by rounding the back. That's what it means. The moment your hip flexion stops is the moment your low back flexion begins. For some people, they don't run out of hip flexion until way down to the bottom of a squat, okay? Other people, it stops here, and that's why their squat looks not so nice. So I think you have a totally normal butt wink, and you don't have to, bash your head into the wall figuring out how to stop it from happening. I remember the moment that I noticed I had a butt wink. I was actually trying on Lulu shorts in the changing room, and I was like, oh my God, why is my butt winking? And it really upset me too, until I realized that's okay, and it's relatively normal. And honestly, very difficult to kind of fix, right? But the point is, as long as you're not experiencing pain, that you're recovering well, and you're having fun, the butt wink's not a huge deal. If you have more concerns on your squat and your squatting mechanics, I want you to film as much as you can of whichever movement you feel this way about, whether it's a front squat, a landmine squat, goblet squat. Send me the video so I can help you feel better about this. Your squat is great. You're gonna keep working on it. And an immature squat or a squat that has, more than a normal amount of butt wink, this can also just take time. The better you get at exercise and technique and so on, the less substantial that butt wink is gonna be. And I'm speaking from my own experience and experience that I've had with clients, for the last 10 years. So don't worry. One more piece of feedback that's actually related to an exercise that you did. You were doing dumbbell Romanian deadlift. And one of the things that, and this is something that concerns me 10 times more than any kind of butt wink problem, but you want to make sure that your head is in what we call neutral head posture. Meaning, when I move from this position to this position, nothing moved in my upper back or my neck. The problem is people want to look at something forward, so they'll go from this to this. Now we had a position change in the upper back. And so what that actually looks like is this. And we shouldn't be lifting load like this, right? We want to be here and here. Nothing changed, right? So I like to think of it as, before you do any movement, make a double chin. And the neutral head posture comes at risk particularly when the bar is in front of you, because everybody's head wants to jut out. Even kettlebell swings, everybody wants to, here. But I say, keep your neutral head posture no matter what you're doing. So hips go back, right? Chin stays nice and tucked in. I also think neck flexion allows for bigger strength of your legs. That's for another day. Anyway, talk to you soon. And look, I'm not giving you this information to stop you from being worried necessarily, in a sense of, if you watch this and you're like, no, I'm really concerned about my butt wink, let's talk it through, okay? So this is not my attempt at shutting you up in any way whatsoever. I want you to tell me your feelings and what's going on once you take in this feedback. Okay, talk soon, bye.